Today's video is about memories. This is another photo management suite, and it's also free and open source and can be self-hosted. But what is particularly different about this one is it's a one-click installation within a Nextcloud hosting service. So I'll put a link at the top right here and in the description below to the previous video I've done around Nextcloud itself, which is sort of a kitchen sink of different applications and file management and file sharing and that sort of thing. But Memories is particularly interesting because Nextcloud does have the Photos app built in already. But as I said, Memories is an additional app which takes really just one click in the App Store and it installs inside your existing Nextcloud hosting. So what I'll cover in today's video really is pretty well much what I usually cover really. It's going to start off really with some of the key features I think that are of interest around this application, some possible potential shortcomings, why you may not want to really use the built-in Nextcloud Photos app, and then a comments cheat sheet, because there's a bit of an issue around how the comments really work. It's not built into the Memories app itself. It's actually using the underlying Nextcloud hosting service, which can be a good or a bad thing. And then I'll tour through sort of the user interface, and then as usual sort of end off with menu settings. So some of the key features, obviously being Nextcloud and your self-hosted instance is completely private. You control everything. Nothing goes to Google or Apple or anywhere else. There is also mobile apps for both Android and iOS with an auto upload option if you want to have that activated. There is a timeline view, very much like Google Photos has got, where you can sort of scroll down and quickly jump to different months or years. It's got a on this day view, which is very much similar to what Google has also got. What I do particularly like is that, apart from obviously having albums, is there's a public share URL. And I will also share one of these URLs in the description below for this video, so you can just try it out and have a look. So that's obviously quite a plus. I particularly like to have albums that I can sort of share as public albums around maybe something public I went to visit or did, a hike, that type of thing. And then the same goes for family, for example. But it's if you've got the link that determines whether you can see it. So it's not public as in browse my Nextcloud and you can find it. If I share a public link for everybody to look at, you can all see it. If I share a different link just for my family and it's a family link, then only my family sees it. But without having to register or do anything else, it's just click and view. Another feature it's got is it's got automatic, or you can also, which I like, the fact you've got the option to do manually tag, but you can tag. And then it includes not only face recognition, but things like places and object recognition as well, whether it's mountain, sea, sky, that type of thing. It's got a map view. Now, they've integrated the map view into the Memories app, so that is sort of slightly different to how the Photos app works. It works on very modest hardware. They say it can work on a Raspberry Pi. So you could put an external drive with a Raspberry Pi, host it at home, and give access to your family, or just use it for your own photo management if you want to. And something that's sort of quite interesting here, and not everybody does this. I've complained about this in one or two of the other photo management apps that I've looked at before, in that you put a whole lot of albums together, you tag stuff, you give it titles and captions, and then if you export it anywhere else, everything is lost. It just comes out as a plain image, or vice versa. You import and it doesn't read things like the titles and the captions. So something that is interesting with Memories specifically, and this is not the Photos app, is that it actually updates the XF headers. I have noted you're excluding the tags for some reason. I don't know why that is, but specifically your geotag location, your camera information, your title or caption of the actual photo, and the description, quite a lengthy description if you want it, will go into the XF headers. So what's nice is you can spend all your time putting your captions and titles and descriptions and so on in your photos. If you export it anywhere else, if that application supports it, that will be immediately available. Not obviously your album groupings, unless of course you put them in maybe folders or something like that. What's also interesting around this is I looked at the Digicam app, as well as I think, I forget what the name of the other app was now, Show Photo, I think it was, something like that. Both of them also read those descriptions and titles. And for example, in Digicam, I went and updated a couple of captions and titles, as well as lengthy descriptions, and then I uploaded it into Memories. And those titles and descriptions were immediately available, which is great. It means you can organize and do things on your local hard drive, upload it into Memories, and there all your captions and your titles already are. Then the other thing is the photos and the metadata editing. So you can obviously also do all your fine-tune cropping, filters, resizing, and various other things within the application. There's quite a lot of different editing you can do, as well as the metadata. So you can adjust dates and times and so on, and you can do bulk updates of that as well. And obviously, I'll put at the bottom there the commenting permissions using Nextcloud. So it's not built into Memories itself. It's using the underlying file commenting that's already built into Nextcloud. It could be a good or a bad thing. It's quite powerful in that it's handled and managed by Nextcloud. And I will, as I said, get to that sort of cheat sheet slide just to show you how to do that. Some potential shortcomings. These are not really major things. Your title and caption is only viewable on the full screen or within the slideshow. So not when you're looking at the sort of the thumbnail view. Not really a train smash, but just to note really. Comments viewing is a little bit clunky, and the only reason really is the focus. As you flip back and forth between photos, it changes a focus, and I'll show you just now what I mean by that. So it's not a major problem. It's built in. It is within Memories. The hint I'm going to give really is it might be easy if you're going to really do a lot of commenting and viewing. It could be possibly easier to do that within the Photos app. This is being addressed apparently. It is an issue. The devs for Memories did actually comment to me that that is something that's going to be addressed. It's sort of a little bit of a bug actually. They will be addressing that focus issue. So, maybe in the future this isn't even an issue itself. Slideshows don't loop. What is nice about that is if you've got the family over or friends and you select a whole mass of photos and you switch on Slideshow on the TV while you're all busy partying or doing whatever, you've got a sort of a continuous type slideshow. I like that sort of thing sometimes. Again, probably not a train smash because you can actually just open the Photos app that's on Nextcloud anyway, and that does do looping for the slideshow. So in those particular instances, that is the workaround really for it. And possibly that's also going to be addressed anyway within Memory. So not a major problem. Like I said, there's a way around it. Then there is no album description, just a location. So for an album, if you create a new album, it's a title of the album. And then there is a little place where you type in location. You could crib that, I suppose, and put a short description in the location field. But it is nice sometimes if, say, for example, it's about a restaurant visit or it's about a particular hike. It's nice to put sometimes a whole bunch of text there just describing what this whole album is actually about. And then I've just also mentioned no sub-albums. I did mention this in one of my previous videos. I forget what the last one was. Was it image? No. Anyway, the issue there was really that if I've got a whole lot of restaurant visits or I've got a bunch of different hikes that I do, it's sometimes nice to group them under hikes or group them under restaurant visits, or if it's places to see in Cape Town, like I've done in some of my Piwigo albums, for example. I've got a Cape Town Places album, and then I've got sub-albums underneath that, different sub-albums for each of the different places that I visited. It's not a major problem. Again, you can just create separate albums for them, but it is nice to group or be able to group those things sometimes. So I'm just mentioning it as a sort of a potential shortcoming if that's very, very important to you. And then why not the Photos app? The Photos app is already built into Nextcloud. As you install it, it's there. So just some things that are matter of interest. The uploads don't add tags or album. They don't prompt you on the upload. And that's actually quite a problem because if you're going to upload, for example, 10 or 11 photos for a restaurant visit, you can already add the tag restaurant eating, and you can already put them into a specific album when you do your upload all in one shot with Memories. So that is Memories is much better to do your uploads in, put it that way, bottom line. There isn't a timeline view. It does have by month, but it's not the same where you've got the scrolling down the right-hand side and you can just click and jump to a particular month. The map view opens separately. It's just a little bit clunky. It's not really integrated very well. Memories does integrate that very well. It shows all media from the root directory. Its photos view, of course, can specify slash photos or whatever to start from. It's just that memories tends to hide that from you completely. You specify whatever the root is going to be for your photos, if it is slash photos, or even a subfolder from below that, and that's all you then see in memory. So it just keeps it a little bit cleaner and tidier, maybe. Not a major thing. But for me, what is a bit of a major issue is that there is no titles or descriptions or captions at all, whether you are in full screen view or in slideshow. So that to me is a major issue. If I'm going to share photos to family or to friends, I want them to see the descriptions and the titles. That's to me a bit of a no-no. So I'd certainly use memories over that. It's also a little bit slower. Funny, you can actually notice there's a certain slight sluggishness with photos, and it's because also that memories has got a bunch of additional apps and optimizations that it is applying. So definitely slicker and quicker as well. But as I did mention before, that comment scrolling is quicker and slicker on the Photos app until Memories just addressed that. I've mentioned their Memories is getting a fix for that. And of course, the Slideshow's loop as well that I've mentioned there. So that's really the only considerations. They use the same underlying photos. So there's absolutely no difference. If you've uploaded or you've got 10,000 photos sitting inside Nextcloud, you can actually use and you can switch between photos and memories. But just remember, you're not going to see the descriptions and a couple of other things if you're using the Photos app. Then the comments cheat sheet. So I've just made this sort of short list that you can use as sort of a bit of a cheat sheet. Now, I know it looks a little bit complicated, but the first half at the top here, you just got to set up really once. And all you've got to remember is it is using the Nextcloud folder for the permissions as to who's going to be able to edit comments or add comments. And then there is the albums on top of that. That's the sort of the virtual view that the users are going to see. So all you've really got to do is decide for yourself, who do you want to share or who do you want to be able to comment on photos? So if it's going to be friends or say family, you can create a friends or a family folder in Nextcloud itself under folders or files view there. And you will add those people as being your registered Nextcloud users on your system. You'll add them and give them permissions in that folder. That's really all it is to it. It's about who can edit or add comments. Thereafter, if you're uploading photos, there can be different albums, there can be different things, but those particular people will, by virtue of that, be able to add comments for anything that is dropped into that folder. And don't worry, just because you've got a friends folder doesn't mean it's going to be just now 1,000 different friends photos. Remember, you've got the albums view still in memories. So you're going to upload the photo into the Nextcloud folder so that the permissions are there, but the virtual albums on top can be different types of friends albums. Pub crawl album versus beach visits album or whatever the case is. So just remember, where you physically upload the photo is going to determine whether they can comment or not, but you've still got the virtual albums view that they'll actually be seeing. So as I said, that step there was then really create that Nextcloud folder, the physical folder in files, register those Nextcloud users to give them permissions in there, those particular friends that you want to have that access, and they must be registered users on your Nextcloud. Then create the albums in memory. So it'll be beach visits, whatever the case is. And you will obviously also add those users as collaborators in that particular album. So you'll share that album with them as well. Remember, this you're going to do every time per album, but this folder, the Nextcloud folder, and the adding the users, you don't have to do again. That's done once. And then when you actually upload the photos in memory, I'll show you just now, there's a place where you can specify the Nextcloud album that they physically get uploaded to, and to which memories album do they go. Another thing I didn't mention, by the way, which is quite nifty with memories, is when you upload obviously to a place, but you can select 1, 2, 3, or many more actual albums to share a photo to. So what I've also done with one particular album is I have got a visit to Newlands Forest, and if you look at the public photos, I have uploaded them physically to Slash Photos, but I've got some family photos where my family appears, and I've uploaded those physically into the family folders. But the album, as far as the album goes, I have shared with public and I've shared the others to my family. But now the family members will see all the photos because they have got view and edit rights to what they're going to see in the Nextcloud family folder. The public don't have the rights, the Nextcloud rights to see that. So what they're seeing virtually is that public album, but only the photos that also are in the /photos Nextcloud folder. I'm sorry, it sounds a little bit complicated. And if there's any problems, just ask me and I'll try and explain it again. But it's just separating, as I said, what is physical Nextcloud folders with permissions and rights, and then virtual views on top, which are the album views. And the Nextcloud folder will determine whether you will see something and whether you can actually edit it. It's quite clever, actually. Once you sort of figured that out and separated it a little bit, it's quite powerful. You can mix and match quite nicely. Okay, because this is sounding a little bit complicated, I think let me just quickly skip ahead to the user interface to show what a photo upload actually looks like in Memories. So if we're in the Memories app, you'll click over here in the top right, you'll see the little arrow there for upload. You'll pick your file or two, and just to show you, there is a HEC and there is, say, a JPEG that it takes as well. You'll say open, and there is your destination path. This is your Nextcloud file folder, the physical file location, the Nextcloud file location where you'll actually put the photos, where it'll upload to physically. And normally it defaults to /photos, but it could be, a subdirectory family or friends, as I'm showing over here as well. And this is where you can say add to albums, and you can actually pick more than one album if you want to as well. It can just be one, but I mean, it could be more than one album at the same time, or you can create a new album there. So the album is going to be the virtual view. You've got the physical location there. That'll be the virtual view, the album view that people see in Memories. And of course, you can also just add tags and so on at the same time when you're doing the upload, and you would just click upload. That is how Memories actually upload. So it's really physical location and the virtual album view at the same time. So let's go back to that and see if the rest hopefully is going to make some sense. And then the next part is really the viewing part, or the being able to add comments. Now I've got two sort of options here. The one is in the Photos app, and the reason why I'm saying is because you can click left, right, and you can quickly stay on the comments, see if there's comments, and add comments. The Memories one has got a focus issue, and it does slip back a bit. So what I was just suggesting in the interim is that whoever of your friends wants to now comment, that they use the Photos app, and you can do the same. You go in there, you go to Photos View, and you open a photo up, as in full screen. You click on the little hamburger 3-button menu, you open the sidebar, and you click and make Activities tab visible. And then you can literally just go left and right between your different photos, and you'll see a place where you can actually enter or reply to comments. On the Memories app, it's similar to a certain extent. You go into the Photos view. The difference here is you click on the little eye icon at the top right, and there is a view there where you'll see the comments. The problem is, as you go left and right, it keeps defaulting back to the, I think it's the File Details tab. So it keeps losing the focus on the Activity tab, which is what shows the comments. You can actually use either or. I'm just saying, if you're going to be scrolling through 10, or 100 photos quickly and you want to comment, Photos app might be easier until this is addressed in the Memories app. And then just one last thing, if people still can't comment, or they're not getting notifications, should I say, about comments made on a photo, because remember, this is not going to pop up in the Photos app or in the Memories app. It's not built into the app level. You go into the settings, or the user goes into their settings on Nextcloud, and under notifications, they must make sure that on comments on files is toggled on for notifications. And then it's as easy as, when you get a notification, you'll get an email, and all you really do is you click on that link in the email for the photo, and it takes you straight to the photo, and you can make a comment or reply to a comment. That is really it then. I'll show it again now, as I said, when we get to the view itself though. So I think let's go and actually have a look then at the interface, and maybe all will become simpler and clearer. So as soon as you've actually installed the Memories app in Nextcloud, you'll see this little icon at the top here, Memories, versus the Photos one that was always there before. And if you've clicked on Memories, you'll see the sort of view down the left-hand side over here. So obviously the timeline view, And that's sort of really how it groups the photos at the moment. And you'll see this is the actual timeline down here. So you can actually, click on any of these and just jump to that month or year very quickly. There is a folders view, and that's sort of more like a raw folders. These are actually those physical folders I talked about that I created on Nextcloud. I'd created a family folder and I created a friends folder. So this is the folders view. And if you go into files on Nextcloud, you'll see where I've created them is actually under photos. This is your root file directory on Nextcloud. If you go into photos, so /photos is often your root for your photos directory. You'll see there I've created a family and a friends album. I have shared friends, for example. So you would just click there and add your users there that you want to give permission to be able to create or edit. And so just beware they can actually edit. Well, they can't edit the photos from inside memories. If they do an edit, it'll save it with a new name in their memories. But just, keep it in mind. So that's it. That was the folders view. There's favorites. If you've marked photos as favorites, they're going to appear in that view. You've got a videos view. These are your actual memories albums that you've created. So when you upload, you can either add photos to existing one or more albums or create a new album. You've got a people's view. This will actually auto-populate, and I'll show just now where that all happens. There is an archive as well if you've archived. There is a on this day, and believe it or not, it's been showing me almost every day except for today now. Essentially, any photos that have got today's date, doesn't matter what year it is and so on, they will actually appear here, and they also appear on the timeline at the top, along the top over here. So unfortunately, can you believe it, today I just don't have one of those. So that's on your day. Places. This is also created automatically. There's an additional app that you just install on the Nextcloud, and I'll show them just now, but they will automatically populate this. So I didn't tag these. These are geotagged photos in Paris and London and so on. There is the map view, and you can see you can sort of zoom out, to see some of your photos. If you click on where there's a group of photos, say there, it's going to take you in closer and expand. And you can see where it's also filtering, by the way, here on the right. If you watch carefully there, it shows you those 3 photos. But if I zoom out, you see the moment I include more, it starts filtering on them as well. And then you can obviously go and do whatever you want to do with them. And then there's the tag. So some of these are auto-tagged. It does recognition, for example, of objects and animals and that sort of thing. So some of these are auto-recognized. Alpine, well, not really. Aircraft, yes, I suppose. Beverage, bird, bottle. Some of these are also my own tags, like Cape Town. So there's 33 tags there. And certain, so some of these are also manual tags that I've added myself. So I do like the fact that you can. One of the ones I've done before wouldn't allow you to do manual tagging, and I do like that because you can sort of create virtual albums and so on as well. So let's just have a look at an album here quickly. Let's just say walk in Newlands Forest. Oh, I should just go back here and show you quickly. If you want to add an album, you're going to click over here. I know it says surname, but if you click in it, it says name of album. A little bit of a glitch there, but doesn't matter. So you will type in there the name of your album and the location. And you can add collaborators. So these will be registered Nextcloud users, not public. It's registered Nextcloud users. But if you go in, you can open a photo, and that's what I mean. There's the little eye. You can also edit various of this metadata. You can remove it from the album. It doesn't take it off the actual server, the photos, just takes it out of the virtual album. This is your edit options up top right here, and you can see you can adjust things like crop, rotate, flip X or flip Y. You can obviously grab these and crop if you want to. You've got various of these filters you can apply as well. You can fine-tune certain things like the brightness, contrast, what is that, hue, saturation, values, blur, and warmth. It doesn't do, well, I don't see any way of blurring just particular faces. It seems to be it blurs the whole picture. And you can actually resize the picture physically. So it shows you here what the coordinates are at the top here. You can change that as, or you can change it manually down here at the bottom as well. So that's the other thing which you can do. And then obviously you're going to want to save it up at the top left there. And you've got undo and redo features here, so you can have a bit of fun over there as well. Oops. This is where you're going to favorite as well. There's a favorite up there. And there's the little 3-bar menu I was talking about earlier. You can download it. You can activate your slideshow. You can edit metadata, which is this view over here. So now you can see there is the description. Oh, sorry, there's the title. There's the description. I haven't actually used labels. There's your camera models, your copyright, which is quite nice. Not all the others do copyright either, and geolocation. And you can also take off the geolocation by clicking over there. The search is also sort of quite interesting. So you can, I think it's going to pop up. Oh, okay, it's got a couple there, but you can scroll through all the different ones and choose it there as well. I've just deleted the coordinates, but okay, I think I can just cancel this without doing anything. Yes, I've said already you can rotate, and because you can add it to other albums as well. We can just look at slideshow briefly. Oh, I see the description is not actually showing at the bottom. Let me just have a sort that out. There's the description and so on the bottom left here, but you'll see it's not showing in the slideshow at the moment. So I'll go back to the main menu and settings. This is just the general sort of settings. So there's your root directory /photos. You could make it anything else you wanted to. You can also get your photos to go square layout. You'll see if it's just a bit tighter. Stack raw files, autoplay live videos, show the full path in the sidebar, show metadata in the slideshow. That's what I wanted on. And load high res, and yeah, you can hidden and sorting of albums there. But if I now go to slideshow, you'll see what I mean. Look, oh, sorry, we'll just activate slideshow. There is your description. So this also works for the public view. The public can also do a slideshow, or they can open up a photo and, you know, go left and right. And the nice thing is they're going to see the same description here on the bottom left, which is great because you can see what the photo is about and what are you actually trying to show somebody. And I think there's a video that comes up here after this. Yeah, and it's pretty fast. This is actually going off my server, which is sitting in Europe, and I'm at the bottom tip of Africa at the moment. So it's not too bad. I'm quite happy with this. So yeah, okay, let's just cancel that. That is pretty well much the photo view and the album view. I just want to show something under people here. So it has already auto-recognized me and Chantel and Lorraine, but you'll see here it's got another 3 of me, which it hasn't recognized as me. So what you can do here is you can actually just, oh, I think that's for unassigned faces you can pick, but let's just take this one. It's got these 3 photos. It's obviously recognized for me, but it's an unnamed person. If you right click here on the hamburger menu, you can either rename this as a new person if it is, but you can also merge it with a different person. So I'm going to say merge, and now you can say merge it with that person. Merge it with Donnie, yes. And you should now see under people that one has disappeared, and there's now 65 photos. There was 63 or 62 photos there before. So that is how you basically will get it to merge if it hasn't quite matched properly. And I mean, that's pretty good actually. I think the unassigned faces, you've really got to choose of the unassigned here. You'll see it's got faces here already, and you're really going to have to go and sort of teach it. So if that is a face that you wanted to teach it, I think you're going to select, you know, multiple photos with that particular face in. You're going to click up there really to move it to a person, either an existing one or add a new one over there. That really is the face feature. I think the rest is, oh, I could just show you where the tags are as well actually. Let me just see. Well, we've shown the tags already, but I mean, if you take that, open that photo, for example, sorry, open the photo, you'll see under the eye over here, if you click on it, there are the tags. So you can add more tags, you know, if you want to, under there. And there's a couple, either existing ones or you type something in there. So let's have a look at the comments before we go to have a look at the menus and so on. So if I go back to, say, albums, or let's go back to timeline, actually, I think, because I know I've got some comments on this already over here. So now we're in the Memories app, okay? I can click on this one. I've opened the photo now, and I can go to I, and you'll see it defaults to info view down over here. So if I click on activity, you'll see there's a whole lot of comments. I've got a test user already registered, and we'll have a look at that now. And there's myself, and there's some comments back and forth over here. But you'll see what I mean. If you go to the next view, it defaults back to info. So you would immediately go click on activity again. And if you go back again, you're going to have to click on activity again. So this is just something minor, as I said, needs to be fixed. I'd like to stay on activity and click back, forth, and be able to see quickly if there are comments or not. So I can leave a new comment on this photo as well. And I can just say something like, very brown shoes. Oops. Very brown shoes. Exclamations. And if I save it, there is the comment a few seconds ago. We can actually go into the other user. I've got a test user that I've logged in a little Firefox container. So you'll see at the top right, if I go back here and just have a look, you'll see I was logged in as myself over there. So if we come in now on the other user, whether it's friend or family or collaborator or whatever the case is, just make sure you're on the Memories view there. And you'll see up the top there it is the test user. So if we go and look for that photo now, well, it's not going to be under the timeline because it's a shared photo from myself, remember? So one way is you could, friends is shared with you. You'll see family's disappeared because it's not shared with this user. One way is to go in on the shared album that you're looking at. You click on that and you can open the photo, and you are going to go to the little eye icon, the info icon up at the top right here. And you'll see it defaults to info, as I said. So if you go to activity, you're going to see all the various comments there. And you'll see that comment that I'd made as Donnie 4 minutes ago. It says, very brown shoes. And you can reply also in here, yes, I saw it. Thanks. A few seconds ago. But what I want to show about scrolling in the Memories app is if you now scroll next photo, you see it's defaulting to info. So you can click on activity, but and there is a comment there. But the thing is, every time you click next, you're going to have to go click on activity. So to go and see it. So it's two clicks every time you want to move back or forth, which is a bit of a pain. You see there it's again back on info, you click on activity. So this should be sorted out at some point, and then it will be just be back and forth, and you can stay on this view to view it. And let me just show you what I mean if I go into the Photos app. That was now the Memories app. You can see at the top here. If I go to the Photos app, again as the share user, I must just remember things get a little bit different here. It's all media. All media. You open the photo, hamburger menu, open sidebar. So it's slightly different now. It's hamburger menu sidebar, but it defaults to activity. So immediately you see the comments. Now in the Photos app, you can just click next. Stays on the comments over there. Click next. If there's comments, you're going to see it there as well. So comments view, previous comments view, and you can just quickly comment in there. So I'm expecting that Memories app is going to work similar to this soon, or at least retain whatever your focus is over here as you're scrolling. So that is pretty well much that view. Let's go back to the main user. I can just show you quickly how albums are publicly shared. I think Cape Town Places maybe is shared. I'm at the album level at the moment here at the top, Cape Town Places. You can click share up at the top right here. And you can either share it to individual users, like test user has got access to this, or you can say here, copy public link. And if you copy that, it's going to say the public link is copied to the clipboard at the moment, and you can just paste that somewhere. Like, for example, if I went, I'll just have to open a new container tab quickly so that it doesn't log me in as a user. So if I paste that link now, public link, you'll see I'm not a logged in user anymore. This is what the public is going to see if you share it to everybody, that link. And as I said, what I like is you can see the title and the description down there as you go, left and right. But you're not going to see an option up here. You can obviously play a slideshow, but you'll see under info, you're not going to be seeing the comments. Because remember, the comments is only if you as a registered user and you've got rights to that Nextcloud folder, the physical folder that you'd given permissions to, to family or friends. But you can see geolocation and sort of camera details and the description and so on. So that's actually quite nice. I do like that. So that's sharing of albums. Then I think we can just sort of run through sort of some of the settings. The main Nextcloud settings. I've already showed the settings menu down here at the bottom. If you go onto your Nextcloud menu, where you'd obviously install it is under apps. If you're the Nextcloud admin, you're going to go into apps and you are going to look for, I think it was under multimedia, and you'll see there is memories. So if it wasn't installed, you'd click install. That's it, done. It's installed. It does everything. And then what you're going to see on your menu is under your admin menu, you're going to see some new things here like called memories. So this is the actual memories admin menu that the administrator accesses. So there are some things that you have to tick on, and you can just check that these things are green. And if they're not, you can either toggle them, or there is help how to get them to work. But there is the media indexing, when the last indexing job was run. There's some low-level CLI commands. You can force re-indexing and that sort of thing. Just also remember, if you do upload some photos, say 10 or 20 or 30 photos, it does take 10, 20, 30, whatever minutes before it's done its run to do face recognition and object recognition. Don't expect that to happen like immediately. It does take a little bit of time. You can also tick on and off, and by the way, it does support HEIC as well as WebP, which is great. Again, those are space-saving formats that are quite nice to use. Don't worry too much about certain warnings, because in many cases it's using the other option. So read the information here. It doesn't mean because something is red it's broken. It just means that maybe you're using the other option. One thing it doesn't do, of course, is I forgot to mention that it doesn't do a resize on upload, and I don't think neither does Nextcloud, so that is a little bit of a pity. Yeah, you can set your photo viewer size, and then things like the reverse geocoding. There is an option right here in the menu, download the Planet database. That is the one that does the city recognition and so on from the geocoding. But certain other things are not going to be available. For example, these, unless you've got the hardware. I'm running on a virtual private machine, but you can use things like NVIDIA hardware and other acceleration and so on here as well. Then the other thing you just need to bear in mind is that for the face recognition and the other stuff to work, you will probably not see it down here, and it'll probably say something about recognize is not installed. If you look over here, it says recognize is installed and enabled for face recognition. If it's not, well, it won't be actually in your first installation. It'll give you some instructions or something here, but the point is you just need to go into your apps menu again on Nextcloud for the administrator and just find the app called Recognize and just install that. Sometimes that is not always clear, but once that's installed, you can click over here also on admin settings, and you'll see it's going to have also a bunch of things you can go through and check. You can turn on face recognition or off. It tells you how far it is, how much is in the queue, whether object recognition is working or not. You can tell it how quickly as well to do it, files to process per job run. So if you're running on a Raspberry Pi, you can crank all these things right down if you want to and let it run over a longer period of time without choking the poor thing. You can do music recognition. I've got that off at the moment. Human action recognition, things like, I think it was, arm wrestling, dribbling, basketball, hula hooping, that type of thing. You can do a couple of reset and rescan options here. You can also decide how many cores should be used. And then there's also options here like TensorFlow or WASM mode. Now, I had to enable WASM mode because something was not quite working. Although I've got TensorFlow capability, it was giving me some issues. I think if I go here, there you can see, could not load libTensorFlow in Node.js, all run in WASM. So I'll go up here and I just said, okay, we'll just run it then as WASM. And there it goes green. There's your GPU you can make use of, obviously for your, so if you have got this installed on your desktop PC, or you're using a desktop PC as a server or something, you can enable things like GPU mode and make things go a lot quicker. So most of this, you really just got to tick these things mostly on and off. There's nothing much that you've really got to go into any technicalities here with. Yeah, that's really where your learning and your recognition and so on is handled in the Recognize app. So that is pretty well much it really for the Memories app. I just found it quite fun because there wasn't any heavy lifting installation stuff. Like I said, it was one click inside Nextcloud. Before I just have a look at the website before we go, I'm just going to show you a quick clip from the mobile app, also in landscape mode though, just to match the orientation. This just shows you how the mobile app actually looks. It's a pretty similar sort of layout, but just to give you an idea, it looks, it's also got a nice sort of a modern user interface as well. So yeah, this is just their website, memories.gallery, with a lot of instructions about how to get started and install it under Nextcloud and so on if you get stuck with anything, as well as troubleshooting. But yeah, just a very fun app. I quite enjoyed it, mainly because I didn't have all the volume mappings to do and Docker installations and that sort of thing. It was really just a one-click install under Nextcloud. So certainly if you've got Nextcloud, generally if you've got your self-hosting at home, whether on your desktop PC or just on a sort of a home server, you can have a 2 or 4 terabyte drive in, or 2 drives mirrored, or whatever you want to do, and you can put all your different photos on. And with something like this, it's quite easy then to share with friends and families and not even pay for online hosting, especially if you've got 10 or 20,000 photos. This is the way to go. You can have it full resolution as well if you want, and just do the sharing from home in your Nextcloud instance. So Nextcloud is not just a file manager. There's lots of other nice things that it does as well. So yeah, I hope you found that sort of interesting. I'm not sure if there's another photos management app for me to do for my next video, but I think I might be reverting to something slightly different again. So I've got no idea what it's going to be, but thanks very much for watching. I hope you found some of this of interest, and I'll see you in my next video.